All right, so this war we have Apocalypse, S99, and Ghost Bands. All right, so Null Boss, we've got Symbiote Supreme and Hood. Mangog, we've got Scorpion and Quicksilver. Scorpion, we've got Magneto and Nick Fury. Maw, we've got Overseer, Omega Red. Terrax, I would go strictly with Diablo, could maybe even use Hood. Sasquatch, we've got Archangel and Doom. Void, I would prefer a half immune debuff detox option, or use Falcon, who's also debuff detox. And then King Groot, you've got Doom, you've got Symbiote Supreme, you've got Hood. 1 through 3 on the way out. Thing, you can go with Void, can go with Omega Red. Path 1, Anti-Venom, any of the debuff detox options. And then for Wong, Ant-Man or Titania. Path 2, Mojo, Mr. Negative. Well, I wouldn't use Mr. Negative. Ant-Man or Titania for Mojo, or Archangel if you want to risk it. And then Omega Sentinel or Nimrod with the Odin pre-fight for Domino. And then Path 3 there, Claire or Nebula for Nimrod. And then you can just use Nebula or another shock immune for Angela. So Hulkling will work perfectly fine. All right, 4 through 6 on the way out. Rintraw, you've got Titania, Mr. Negative, or Omega Red. Well, not Omega Red. And then on the way in, Doom, Titania, Mr. Negative works as well. Could even get away with Magneto there, maybe. Kind of super risky. Path 4, Spam. Again, any of the debuff detox options, just make sure you're throwing special ones. But you can use Falcon. I would not use Black Widow. Falcon or any of the other skill options. And then Bishop, you can use Ultron. You could use Warlock. Really just push him to special 2. Path 5, Nova, you've got Magneto and you've got Tigra. It's got to be a comfortable Tigra player. I would probably just go with either of the either of the Magnetos first. And then Chavez, you've got Mr. Negative and Titania. And then Path 6, Long Shot, I would go with Titania or an Incinerate Immune. And then for Kitty, Omega Red, or sorry, not Omega Red, Omega Sentinel or Nimrod. 7 through 9 on the way out. Gore, I would use Rintraw or Hood with Odin pre-fights. And then Immortal Abomination on the way in. You've got Omega Red, you've got Ultron, you got any of the half immune debuff detox like Overseer. Oh no, he's not over. That's Bleed Shock, or Bleed Shock. So you could use Overseer and just build up the immunity. Path 7 there, Weapon X, Omega Sentinel or Nimrod. And then Atuma, I mean, one of your best options is Sunspot due to the easy access for Incinerate. You could also use Kitty there. Path 8, Cersei, Rintraw, Hood, Symbiote Supreme, but with Odin pre-fights. And then Path 9, Hulkling or Havoc for Magneto. And then you can use Havoc or Blade for Mephisto. 1 through 3 in Section 2 on the way in. Infamous Doom, you got Gallon, and you've got Doom with a Mr. Fantastic synergy. Fury, you've got Archangel, you've got Havoc, you've got Kitty Pryde if someone's comfortable with Kitty. And then Claire, I would go Overseer pretty strictly for that one. Maybe Havoc, but would be super interesting. 1 through 3, Section 1, Joe, you've got Falcon, you could use Valkyrie. Plenty of options actually for him. Path 1, really anyone. You can use Warlock and counter the healing, or you can just counter Hulk with someone like Valkyrie. Path 2 there, Man Thing, you've got Ant-Man and Mr. Negative and Titania, and then for Killmonger, you've got Omega Red and Cosmic Ghost Rider, Silver Surfer there, Gallon, or Hulkling. 4 through 6 on the way out, Tigra, Mr. Negative, or Titania. I wonder kind of sometimes if Doom can work. Path 4, Misty, you could use Magneto or Omega Red, or an evade counter. Havoc, use any of the tech options with armor ups, should be fine. Venom's also an option. He's the tactic, or he's part of the tactic for this war. Path 5, Hulkling, you've got Claire and you've got Hood. Mordo, you've got Doom, and you could use Null still. And then Path 6, Valkyrie, really anyone. Omega Red, Magneto, plenty of options for her. 7 through 9 on the way out, Arcus, you've got Symbiote Supreme. You could flex a Hood there if it's a comfortable Hood player. And then Path 7, Kingpin, you've got Omega Red or Strife. And then for Dragon Man, you've got Nebula as your top option. Could be a few others, just got to look out for that armor break. Path 8, Korg, you've got Omega Red, you've got Kitty Pryde, you've got a few options for her. And then Path 9, Mr. Fantastic, any of the debuff detox options, really like Falcon. And then for Sauron, you can use Nimrod, easiest one obviously, but you can also get away with Ultron or Omega Sentinel. So that does it for defense. Let's take a look at attack. All right, so War 5, we have the defending War Champ GT40. And I have a pretty crazy war, so let's get into it. Titania, Claire, and Falcon are who I'm taking in. I've got Path 5 in Section 1, Path 1 in Section 2, and a mini-boss on Boss Island. So to start it off, we're back at this Hulkling on Node 2, taking it with Claire, going through the exact same rotation that we did last season. That's to switch into Plagued, and with the PS1, it'll push us to Special 2. Once we get the Special 2, drop it. The debuff immunity will pop up before the knockdown, which will ramp up our charges like crazy. Plus, we're in Plague, so we're trying to power drain him, and we can't. So that's going to ramp us up as well. Get us straight to Special 3. Going to bait out that special, and then with the Fury, we're going to boost ourselves to max charges if we're not there, like that Heavy. We're going to drop the Special 3, and it should just be a rinse and repeat of this. Power backs are going to put us at Special 2. We just wait for the protection to return to Hulkling so that we don't lose that buff immunity debuff mid-special, which really helps with the ramping. And then do the exact same thing we did last time, bait out the last special. Now, he took forever on this second Special 3 to use this, so his protection came back. And what that means is once we get this Special 1 down, we are actually going to have to parry Heavy him. So here, parry Heavy, miss the parry, and we get hit in the face. Now I have to hit into his block and wait out the unblockable, since we ended up nullifying it by getting hit. He's no longer unblockable. Parry, throw it. Now we can throw the Special 3. So we save it. We get back in the groove. We threw the Special 3 early in the Fury. So with the way this is going to work out is that we're going to end up dancing a lot before the protection comes back. I guess we could have thrown the Special 2 there. I'm just so used to sticking to the plan, I didn't really want to risk it. We end up throwing the Special 2 there like we're supposed to. He throws the Special 1 like he's supposed to. Build up the charges, throw the Special 3. So we're back on track again. And it should be one more Special 3. And this next one, I threw the Special 2 just a second too early. The protection got rid of it. And you can see there we didn't get as much power back because we didn't get our max charges due to the buff immunity. So that kind of messed me up. Now it means throughout this time right here, I need to build up as many charges as I can. And I decide that this 15 should be enough with the Fury and the low health he has. And we find out during the special 3 that it does in fact do the job. So not as routine as past ones, but we still finish it pretty easily. It just takes a while. We move on. Mordo here. We were waiting for a White Magneto pre-fight. We're actually going to take this with Claire as well. No one on my team really stands out as the best option. At least she can kind of control buffs and control power to an extent. So the way this is going to work, we're going to switch into Plagued, feel out Mordo's aggressiveness at the start. And if he's too close to special 3 while we're in Plagued, we're going to stay in Plague and drop that special 2 so that we can power drain him and get a buff immunity up to prevent the power gain. Only downside about using Claire here is that her heavy attack is 1 hit. So we're really testing stand your ground here, and you're going to see it definitely pop up at least a few times there. It's okay. We're still in Plagued. He's still got a bit more power than I would like, but I decided to throw the special 2 there just to get the buff immunity up and to get Ebb and Flow knockdown down. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity in the play in the moment to basically just do a lot of damage on the back end of that with the Fury and to manage his power. So it's going well so far. This is Claire's last fight though. So even if it does go somewhat south, and we used an invulnerability boost, which we haven't had to use yet, it would be pretty fine if we get near or take a few hits. But down Mordo goes pretty easy. Interesting matchup. Next, here, Tigra. I had to go put on Resonate because I felt it would just be a safer fight with Resonate on. The game plan here was just to play this entire fight with Protection up. None of my specials are really going to help me here because when I knock her down, it's going to create that debuff immunity. However, after replaying this, I noticed I ended up going with special 3s. I noticed that the special 3 actually counts for the debuff immunity knockdown, but not the ebb and flow knockdown. So we don't get any debuff / fury benefit from throwing special 3s. So if I had to replay this, I would actually throw either special 1 or special 2 because the knockdown won't come until after placing debuffs, and that will at least let me build some furies for the fight. And you can see here we get, I think the closest we get is 20, maybe 22. But this ends up being a long fight due to the protection. And at least if I'm going to throw a special 2 and special 1, I'm going to benefit from the ebb and flow knockdown fury, whereas the special 3 I'm not. And I already knew that going in. I just didn't expect the debuff immunity to kick in. So live and learn. Ideally, I don't think I would take this fight with Titania again. Probably better off with someone who benefits with from a White Magneto pre-fight. So yeah, it starts to get a bit dicey right around here. Eat that. Did not plan on that happening, obviously. We've got the rupture. So due to how long the fight kind of took, you're kind of playing the odds of whether Tigra is going to throw her specials or not. And right here, we get really close. Miss the block. I actually have an issue with that with Titania sometimes. If I complete a combo, the game seems to lag for a little bit. But we got the special 2 out. Luckily, I'm pretty good at dexing the special 2. Go right into the special 3 to work our way out of the corner. That did not matter since we had Haymaker up, so we can be a little bit aggressive. So there is that nice benefit for this fight. I almost thought I was going to have to go into Haymaker for that special 3 earlier. And we're kind of closing in here on the back end. She finally starts to play a bit nicer, starts throwing her special 1 off the wall. Allows us to keep her here, keep her pinned. But yeah, really long fight. We're almost at the 3-minute mark. There's no telling if the special 2 or special 1 was sped it up. But definitely better off compared to the special 3. So Titania does her job. We move on. Anti-Venom here, Path 1, Section 2. Now you can take him here with any debuff detox option, and I actually forgot my game plan at the start. My original intention with the start of this was to get the debuff immunity to remove the debuff that you start with, and then to start just laying into him without worrying about locked on. But you're going to see here, I actually take a moment to try and lock on like a dummy, and I end up eating a heavy for it, and I lose 2 hits of my invulnerability, which is unfortunate. Once we get rid of that debuff, we don't have to worry about the regen from hitting him. I don't need locked on for that. So I should have just worked myself out of the corner after I got the debuff immunity and then got locked on when I felt comfortable. And then this happened. The debuff actually made its way through debuff detox, so I had to replay the beginning of this, which results in me getting cornered with him at 2 bars of power. So I was kind of stressed in here. I thought I might eat a special 3. I actually was not aware at this time, or at this point, whether I had invulnerability left, but luckily we did enough to get Anti-Venom to throw that special 2 against the wall. That was definitely a life-saving move from the AI. And then here he throws this special 2 immediately, despite how close we are. So saving the fight thanks to the kindness of the AI. Although I could stay against the wall and keep dexing heavy attacks until he decides to throw a special 2. That's not how I want to play this fight. And then this last locked on will pretty much do it. These tiny champions against these XLs, or large champions, are getting to be a pain with baiting special attacks. So probably better off with a debuff detox that's the same size. Wong here is another reason Titania came. It's a pretty easy fight for her. She counters buffet. As I told you last war with Titania, I would prefer to go to special 3 and then just start heavy spamming in the corner to KO them, but Stand Your Ground has been resisting those heavy attacks despite them being unblockable and leading to a stun. So I just decide that I don't want to risk that. I'm going to build the special 2, bait out special 1s the whole time. Once I get to special 2, it's going to be nothing but special 1s from there, constantly refreshing that physical vulnerability debuff. And there's our special 2. He's already at 50%. We're paying attention to his mystical charges. Once he gets in the 90% range, we're going to parry heavy and drop him back down to 0 so that we don't take any burst damage. And there I knew to end with a medium so that I could throw this special 1 with the haymaker up and do some extra burst damage. And here I was just trying to bait. I kept parrying. Just Titania wouldn't move. So unfortunately we lost the physical vulnerability, but the fight's pretty much over, so didn't see a point building back to special 2. We're just going to go ahead and brute force Wong down here with special 1s. And he just goes down from mediums. So Titania's job done for the war. All right, and then Void here on Hazard Shift Mini. This next fight is insane. I'm going to slow it down a little bit because there's just so much to talk about. So much happened in this fight. It was pretty insane. Now the game plan here, I can only hit Void when I'm locked on. When I'm not locked on, if I feel like I'm going to get cornered, I need to hit into his block. So here, I had tested out before the fight started that how far I needed to dash back on his first heavy so that I could get locked on in case he threw double heavies. So we got locked on like we needed to. And from here, it's just play aggressively. Did a few hits into his block so that I could bait out a heavy, get him to be a little bit more aggressive. But I needed to take every opportunity while locked on to push him to his wall and be aggressive. And I have deep wounds maxed, so special 1s were my game plan. I decided I was going to block special 1s, basically through the fight, evaluate the block damage on those special 1s, and that there, I could not believe hit me. In an attack, I dash back, and before I can get a block up, apparently a special 1 hits me. And you can see why that's such a problem, and it's because of those debuffs there. I needed to block a lot of hits to get them off before we started losing this fight. So I'm in the corner here. I knew I had to bait a heavy. At the end of the heavy, I get the lock on, and once I realize I have the lock on, I decide to throw the special 1 in between Void's heavy after baiting 1 out. So here it's just being kind of pissed off. Again, working as hard as possible to push him back to his wall while we're locked on. If he's playing passive, I'm going to hit him in the block, or in his block a few times. We didn't make enough space, and Locked On is about to end, so I'm feeling kind of nervous here. There, apparently, I dropped my block thinking I parried. Luckily, we bait this special too. Debuffs are showing up. It's fine. We've got the debuff, immunity, and the cleanse charges. There, he was passive enough for me to hit into his block so that I could get space to get this Locked On ready. And then we bait out the heavy, get the Locked On again, find that opening for the special one. Still baiting heavies while we're against the wall. Retaliating after the heavy to create space. Got passive there, so went and hit his block. Just really trying to get heavies out here. We're running out of health. Cannot take any more heavy hits or blocked hits, really. Locked On is about to end, and we are against the wall. So here I thought for sure I was probably going to end up dying. He throws a heavy. Still waiting for Locked On. Not dead yet. Throws another heavy. Still waiting for Locked On. We get our opening. Throws the heavy. We dex all hits. We work ourselves off the wall. We throw this special one. I know he can throw a special one and kill me through block, so I try and get it out. I have to dex it, and he dies from bleed before that next hit, which I was planning on dexing. So we clutched the fight at 3%. I had to sit down after that. We ended up losing to their battle group. 0 deaths to 5, so not a good war for our battle group. And we ended up losing 0 to 9. It's the defending champ. I'm just pretty happy that against the top alliance, we still stayed within our consistent death range for the season so far after 5 wars. This is our second war with 9 deaths, and our lowest was 6. So we're in that 6 to 9 range with deaths. And I mean, that's going from playing some Plat 1, maybe Plat 2 alliances, and then playing the war champ. So can't be too unhappy about that. Would have preferred that we did a little bit better on the attack bonuses, but hey, single digit deaths against the war champion, I'll take it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe, give it a like, and I will catch you guys at the next war.